Sup nerds, I'm Tom. Today we're going to talk about Clever Cubed, which is the third in the Clever Roll and Write trilogy, I guess. And this is going to be a pretty quick review because I've already reviewed the other two in the series, so I'm mostly just going to talk about what makes this one different. So at the end of the day, this one is very similar to the other two. You're still going to roll dice, draft some dice, and then use those dice that you draft to mark off stuff on your sheet in a very puzzly way. It's mostly just the puzzle itself that's the biggest difference. And it still has the interesting rule with the drafting where whenever you draft a die, every other dice that you didn't draft that is a lower number than the one that you drafted, you will lose. So you want to ultimately draft 3 dice, so you're kind of incentivized to draft the lowest number as much as possible. But in this version, when you draft the yellow die, it actually matters whether it is the first, second, or third dice that you draft in the series for you to mark off boxes. The teal one is you're really just going through rows and columns to score bonuses, and there actually is an extra little kind of clunky rule about if you draft the teal one, that like whatever number it is, if the other dice you've drafted before are that same number, you also get to mark those off. Like, let's say if the teal is the third dice you drafted and it's a 1, and the other 2 dice that you drafted previously were also 1s, well then hey, you can mark off 3 1s instead of just 1 1. The blue one is sort of like a tug of war. You start with 7 in the middle and you're going to the left going below or to the right going above 7. You still have to add it to the white die and everything, so very similar there. And then the last 2 are just going from left to right, marking off boxes with the brown and the pink. The pink is kind of interesting because every time you use a die, you either decide to get more points and no bonus or less points and a bonus, which I pretty much always will go for the bonus because bonuses and combos and stuff is kind of the name of the game, and it's just more fun than just writing a bigger number. There's also a new special ability that lets you change the value of the dice that you draft, and overall that's pretty much it. It's very similar to the other two. Now granted, I do think the Clever games, as well as maybe Fleet the Dice game, are some of my favorite roll and writes in general. And now there's 2 things. One is, it's not very different from the others. So as long as you have at least one, I think that's good. I mean, you can have all 3. I definitely don't think you need to. But if you're a really, really big fan of it, then sure, yeah. If you like the others, and you certainly will like this one, but it doesn't really offer you much in the way of being different. I mean, okay, a new ability and a different puzzle, sure, but that's about it. And now I have kind of gone on record in saying that I'm a little bit bored with roll and writes, that by the now it's just, roll some dice, draft them, and mark something off on your sheet in a puzzly way. And I recently reviewed a game called Doodle Dungeon that did something really different with roll and write, where you actually draw a whole dungeon and then move through it, and then you get to play cards and stuff. And while I didn't love that one, I was praising it for being different. And I kind of feel like maybe I'm pigeonholing myself, because while I was praising that one for being different and I didn't really love it, I'm not condemning this one for being exactly the same as all those other ones that I kind of condemned them for. So I want to kind of clear this up a little bit. I tend to make a lot of movie analogies just because I love movies, and those tend to make a lot of sense to me. Now, when it comes to doing something different, you can do something that is pretty different from anything else that's been done, and also really, really great. Phenomenal. Blows your mind. Then again, you can do something that's really different and feels like it's just different for the sake of being different, and it's kind of awful and turns people off. Now, the doing something different by itself isn't the thing that makes it good, but if you don't try to do something different, well then how are you ever going to do that thing that's really different that'll blow people's minds? But if you're going to do something that's exactly the same that people have seen before, that's kind of by the numbers, well then you better be really, really, really good at it and know exactly what you're doing and crush it. And that's what this one does. The Clever games are just rolling dice, drafting them, and marking something off in a puzzly way. But the puzzle is really good. It's really sharp, and the decisions are difficult every single time. And that tiny little rule with drafting the dice does add enough of a twist that helps make those decisions really difficult. So at the end of the day, I really love this game. I probably played it more in the digital version than anything else. I don't think it's any really better or worse than the others. I think maybe the first one's probably still my favorite. You don't really need to have all 3, but I feel like if you have any of these, and you have Fleet the Dice game, then you have a really solid collection of roll and writes. I mean, if you want to have more, then just put them all on a board and spin it and pick whichever one it lands on, because it doesn't really matter, because most, like 90% of the other roll and writes that are out there are all kind of the same, and you get very similar experiences, and how can I really recommend one over another? But anyways, I do recommend this one. I'm going to put a purchase link for this in the description box down below. Also down there is going to be a link for Game Toppers. They're the sponsor for Neverboard Gaming. And also down there is going to be a subscribe button, because if you subscribe to our channel, then you'll never be bored.